Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tadho Jayamudiraye. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavada Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Sloge Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtigim. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 8th chapter, verse number 30. Chara Charako Bhagavan Mahindram Ahindra Bindum Salilopagudham Kirida Sahasra Hiranya Shringam Avirbhavat Kaustuba Rekna Garbham. Word by word meaning. Synonyms. Chara, moving animals. Achara, non-moving trees. Okaha, the place or situation. Bhagavat, the personality of Godhead. Mahindra, the mountain. Ahindra, Sri Ananda Deva. Bandhum, friend. Salila, water. Upagudham, submerged. Kirida, helmets. Sahasra, thousands. Hiranya, gold. Shringam, peaks. Avirbhavad, manifested. Kaustuba, the Kaustuba jewel. Rekna Garbham, ocean. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Like a great mountain, the Lord stands as the abode for all moving and non-moving living entities. He is the friend of the snakes because Lord Ananda is his friend. As a mountain has thousands of golden peaks, so the Lord was seen with the thousands of golden helmeted hoods of Anandanaga. And as a mountain is sometimes filled with the jewels, so also his transcendental body was fully decorated with its valuable jewels. As a mountain is sometimes submerged in the ocean water, so the Lord is sometimes submerged in the water of devastation. There is no purport for this, so we'll go for the next verse. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 8th verse, 31st verse. Nividam namanya madhuruddha shriya Sakirti maya vanamalaya harim Surenduvaya agnyagamanam tredha mabhi Parikramat pradhanigir durasadam. Synonyms. Nivida, so being enclosed. Amanya, Vedic wisdom. Madhuvrada Sriya, sweet sound and beauty. So, Kirtimaya, by his own glories. Vanamalaya, flower garland. Harim, unto the Lord. Surya, the sun. Indu, the moon. Vayu, the air. Agni, the fire. Agamam, unapproachable. Tridhamabhi, by the three planetary systems. Parikramad, circumambulating. Pradhanegihi, for fighting. Durasadam, very difficult to reach. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Brahma, thus looking upon the Lord in the shape of a mountain, concluded that he was Hari, the personality of Godhead. He saw that the garland of flowers on his chest glorified him with Vedic wisdom in sweet songs that looked very beautiful. He was protected by the Sudarshana wheel for fighting. And even the sun, moon, air, fire, etc. could not have access to him. Doesn't have also purport, so we'll go for the next verse. Taryahi eva tanna visara sarojam atmanam ambaha swasanam viyacha dadarsha devo jagado vidhatha Nadha param loga visarga drishtihi. Synonyms. Tahi, therefore, eva, certainly, that his, nabhi, navel, saraha, lake, sarojam, lotus flower, atmanam, brahma, ambaha, the devastating water, sosanam, the drying air, Vyad, the sky, Cha, also, the Darsha, looked upon, Devaha, demigod, Jagadaha, of the universe, Vidada, maker of the destination, Na, not, Adaparam, beyond, Loga Visarga, creation of the cosmic manifestation, Drishtihi, glance. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So when Lord Brahma, the maker of the universal destination, thus saw the Lord, he simultaneously glanced over creation. Lord Brahma saw the lake in Lord Vishnu's navel and the lotus flower, as well as the devastating water, the drying air and the sky, all became visible to him. So we'll go for the next verse. This also didn't have the purport. Sakarma bijam rajaso parakadaha प्रजाशिषीणां यदेव दृष्ट्वा अस्ताद्विसर्गाभिमुखस्तमिध्यम् अव्यक्तवतमानि अविवेष्टिदात्मा. Synonym. Sa, he Brahma, karma bijam, seed of worldly activities, rajasa, ubaraktaha, Rajasa Ubaraktaha, initiated by the modes of passion. Prajaha, living entities. Shishikshnan, willing to create progeny. Iya, all the five causes of creation. Eva, thus. Drishtva, looking on. Astaut, prayed for. Visarga, creation after the creation by the Lord. Abhimugaha, toward. Tham, that. Idhyam, worshipable. Avyakta, transcendental. Vartamani, on the path of. Abhivestida, fixed. Atma, mind. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Lord Brahma, thus being surcharged with the mode of passion, became inclined to create, and after seeing the five causes of creation indicated by the personality of Godhead, he began to offer his respectful praise on the path of the creative mentality. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Even if one is in the material mode of passion to create something in the world, he has to take shelter of the Supreme for the necessary energy. That is the path of the successful termination of any attempt. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the third canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Manifestation of Brahma from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Salagaya Chakshurunmilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stabidam Yena Bhudale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadadi Supadandigam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yudhapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunadhanidam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaidam Savadudam Parijana Sahidam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalidam Shri Vishaghanidamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarupasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Padidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Sahana Bhavadu Sahanau Bhunaktum Sahaviryam Karavavakai Tejasvi Namadidamastu Ma Vidushavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining today. Today we are concluding this chapter, and this chapter is titled as Manifestation of the Brahma from the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So throughout this chapter, it was explaining how Brahma is seeing the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So we know that from the Karanodakshaya Vishnu, then each universe comes out, and from that each universe then Lord enters into that universe. That Vishnu is known as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So then Lord fills the earth, this Garbhodakshaya, the Garbhodak ocean, this entire universe with water, filled with half of the water. And then Lord lies down in the Garbhodaga ocean, and then it covers completely, Lord covers the entire universe in such a way that that's what is Brahma is seeing in this chapter. And from there, Brahma manifests from the navel of the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So it's so beautiful to go and understand the science of this universe, the science of Krishna consciousness. So there are so many ways the author or the speaker explains the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We know that from the beginning of this chapter, Sage Maitreya explaining about the glories of the Supreme Lord to Vidura, Mahatma Vidura. And we could see that the last two chapters were the inquiries of the Vidura. So what we are understanding from this, Vidura as a Mahatma Vidura was very great devotee of the Lord, very scholarly. Still, Mahatma Vidura wanted to know more about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Mahatma Vidura realized that unless and until hear from the self-realized souls, and then understand that the transcendental science of the Supreme Lord, then the life won't be complete. So even Vidura was traveling, and then on the path of journey, on the pilgrimage. And on the path of the pilgrimage, Mahatma Vidura met Uddhava. That time, Uddhava was actually leaving to the Badarigasrama. And even Uddhava was very eager to go and meet the sages and to attain the, transcendental knowledge. So Uddhava instructed that Sage Maitreya, please meet Sage Maitreya, because of Sage Maitreya met the Sri Krishna before Krishna leaves this planet. So Mahatma Vidura was eagerly waiting for Sage Maitreya. And as soon as Mahatma Vidura met Sage Maitreya, started to inquire about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and various other aspects of it. So this shows that how an aspirant of a Bhagavad, student of a Bhagavatam should be. That we should have always that inquisitive nature. And that's what we can also see here in this chapter. Brahmadev also was so inquisitive to know about the Supreme Lord. So this is the first quality of a devotee, the first quality of a student of the Bhagavatam. Student of the Bhagavatam means to understand, to know more about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The son of Vasudev is the Bhagavan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So here, the Mahatma Vidura was so inquisitive to know about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's why in the Vedanta Sutra, it is mentioned that Adadho Brahma Gigyasa. One should have this Brahma Gigyasa to know about the Param Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then we can see that Sage Maitreya was very nicely explaining the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to Sage Mahatma Vidura. And what Sage Maitreya was mentioning, yes, I know that you are from a great family of a Puru. They were all devotees. So you are the right student. You are the qualified student to receive this Bhagavatam. Oh, of course, dear devotees, also that it's always better that we have this, loving devotional service. One who does perform the loving devotional service to the Supreme, they are the right candidate to hear the more glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then we can see that the further sage Maitreya was explaining in such a wonderful way about how this transcendental subject matter is sage Maitreya received from the Parashara Muni received from the Sangyayana Muni received this from the Sanat Kumara, the chief of the four Kumaras, and they received this transcendental knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the Personality of Godhead himself, that Lord Ananta Shesha. There one time, Srila Prabhupada was mentioning that, asking this question, who can talk, who can mention about the Supreme Lord? Who is right, who is able to speak about the Supreme Personality of Godhead completely or with such a conviction that the Absolute, who is able to talk about? So Srila Prabhupada was answering, only Lord can speak about himself. Nobody else can, because of his innumerable qualities and innumerable characteristics, innumerable features. Nobody is there able to speak about the God himself. Only God can reveal about himself. So that's what is happening here. Even throughout the Bhagavatam, we can see this. So here, the Ananda Shesha, the Supreme Lord himself, speaking all this transcendental subject matter to the four Kumaras. And we know that when four Kumaras born out of Brahma, then what happened? Brahma instructed the four Kumaras, okay, now I created you. Your purpose, your duty is to start the progeny. So immediately four Kumaras rejected that plea and said that, no, we are not here to waste our time. We are born here to realize the self, realize the Supreme. So they just went away. And this is the time they were inquiring about the Supreme, and they went down. It is mentioned further in the chapter, through the water, through the Ganges water, they went down to the subterranean planets through the Ganges water, on the path of the Ganges water, and then they met Ananda Shesha, the Supreme Lord, and it is mentioned that he was completely meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. Ananda Shesha was meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. That time, even these four Kumaras came down through the Ganges water and they were completely wet. So here, the four Kumaras, approached Lord Ananda Shesha, and this is also another great important point that we need to understand. In order to understand completely, we should always approach self-realized personalities in order to understand. So these self-realized personalities are completely dedicated, completely meditating upon, or the Supreme Lord himself, Ananda Shesha, meditating upon the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. As soon as they approached, Ananda Shesha could understood that the intentions of the four Kumaras. So Ananda Shesha opened the eyes, just half open, is completely in the mood of completing the meditating on the Supreme Lord. So Ananda Shesha understood the purpose of the arrival of four Kumaras. And then Ananda Shesha started to explain about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the glories, the science of Krishna, science of spiritual nature. So that's what we can see here in this chapter. Then that's where actually then, the Sanat Kumara further then explained this to the, Sangyayana Muni, then further down to the sage Maitreya. So here it is explaining that further how Brahma manifested from the lotus navel of the Mahavishnu, about the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So here two things are happening. One is actually the appearance of Brahmadev from the lotus navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Then how Brahma is seeing the beautiful Lord on the recliner of the Ananda Shesha in the Garbhodaga ocean. It is so beautifully narrating, so beautifully explaining in this chapter. That's why in the previous verses onwards, how Brahma is seeing the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Initially, we saw that when the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, then from the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu on the lotus navel, there is a beautiful lotus sprouts, and that lotus stem actually grew and grew and grew and grew. And then came up on a lotus, and from there, that lotus, the Brahma is manifested. It is mentioned that in this chapter, that Lord, the Supreme Lord Garbhodakshaya Vishnu himself expanded as the super soul. And that super soul entered into this lotus, and that grows, that lotus stem itself, the super soul, and then connects to this material world. And then that lotus, on the lotus, the Brahma manifested, and that Brahma is the super soul and in the form of first living entity in this material universe, first living entity. And then further explains that the Brahma was very inquisitive, and it was all dark around, and wanted to understand where I come from. Who am I? That's the first question Brahma asked. Asada Brahma Gigyasa. Who am I? Who am I? This is the wonderful, wonderful, dear devotees. Every word of Srimad Bhagavatam is opening up this universe to us, opening the absolute truth to us, opening us to that transcendental knowledge to us so that we can go beyond our material conceptions of the life. So who am I? That's the first question Brahma asked, who am I? So Brahma went down through the stem, but Brahma could never reach to the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. But Brahma was very close to the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, but never could reach. So this was also another significant part of this chapter, is that even if how much of that we have such an endeavor, such an effort, unless and until by the mercy of the Supreme, we cannot, see the Lord, we cannot, we cannot reach to the Lord. Unless and until we have the mercy. And this was also making, the two, fingers, story, that, two finger short story, that endeavor and mercy must be there. So it is the mercy of the Lord one makes possible to see the Lord, to reach the Lord by the mercy of the Lord, dear devotees. Unless and until the mercy is not there, we cannot reach anywhere. So we need the mercy of the devotees, mercy of the Lord. So how we can then get the mercy of the Lord, it's very important to understand. We can get the mercy of the Lord only by the mercy of the devotees. So we can see here, so by the mercy of the Kumaras, that, sage Maitreya, and by the mercy of the sage Maitreya, Vidura is able to understand and realize this transcendental knowledge. So only by the mercy of the Lord, by the mercy of the devotees, one can get the Lord. And then by the mercy of the Lord, then we can understand, we can approach, we can reach to the Supreme Lord. So it's very important to understand these facts. So these are giving such a wonderful details of that, how one can approach to the Lord, one can reach to the Lord, and how one can see the Lord. So then now, by the mercy of the Lord, then Brahma was meditating upon the Supreme Lord for, millions of years, on the celestial years. It's mentioned that 2 million years Brahma meditated upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, see that another facts of it, another significance. Just don't think that, this is just, just by just putting some efforts that we can attain the Supreme. 1 million, 2 million years, celestial years, Brahma meditated upon, did the penance, did the tapas, did the devotional service, and completely meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then Lord manifested unto the heart of the Brahmaji, unto the heart. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikave, Brahma, manifested unto the heart of Brahmaji. This was the same case even for Vidura. Vidura was completely Naradadev completely meditated upon the Supreme at the age of 5, left the home and started to the north and reached under the mountain of the Himalayas. There, Lord, the Naradadev got a sound. You will be able to see me in the next lifetime, not this lifetime. And Narada was completely meditating upon that. So, as he says that this is our beginning, dear devotees, hearing this devotional service, engaging in the devotional service, so that some point of time we all can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead in person. Here, Brahma was seeing the person by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Brahma was seeing the end-to-end of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Brahma was seeing the boundary of this universe. Brahma was seeing that the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu lying down on the recliner of Ananda Shesha. And Brahma was seeing that so beautiful, and how it is explained that Brahma was seeing that beautiful mountain glittering with the thousands of jewels and lying down, and the rivers and the trees were like the garlands, and the lotus feet was, even Brahma could see the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And it is mentioned that that supreme lotus feet is the shelter of all living entities. And just by meditating upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one can eradicate all their distress. And Brahma was seeing like this. And that's where actually we come to the conclusion of this chapter. Like a great mountain, Lord stands the abode for all moving and non-moving living entities. And we are going through this in the conclusion of it. And then so beautiful. And there is a temple in Trivandrum, in Kerala. This temple is known as the Ananda Padmanabha temple. Ananda Padmanabha, this is the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Ananda Padmanabha. Padmanabha means, Padma means lotus, Nabha means the navel, and this Brahma is actually sprouted in the navel, and it's also depicted there in the Garbhagriha, in the altar itself there. And this is the richest temple. In fact, this is the richest temple in the world. And this Ananda Padmanabha temple, it was, there are 10,000 salagram shilas, and it is actually the Vigraha of the Lord, the Ananda Shashi. It is 16 feet long. It's quite long. And when you go there, there are three doors there. Through the 3 doors only you can see the Supreme Lord. And there is the Supreme Lord lying down on the Ananda Shesha. That's the Ananda Padmanabha. So beautiful temple, so wonderful temple. There are so many wonderful and Lord's manifestation is there. And if I am correct, this is the one temple in the whole world that the complete Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is depicted there itself. And it's so beautiful. And you can search on the internet, Ananda Padmanabha temple. And this is exactly the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So beautiful. And it's covered with gold and golden hue. And this is like exactly like Brahma is seeing the golden hue, thousands of jewels on the thousands of the hoods of the Ananda Shesha. Lord's beauty is like, it's like dazzling beauty that even with the normal eyes we cannot see, normal eyes. So that's why Shastra Chakshusha, we get a special eye to see the Lord. Adokshacha, we get a special eye, Adakshacha, to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here, in this temple, Ananda Padmanabha temple, and there is also a lotus sprouts, and it goes up to the top, and then on the top there is a Brahma, and we can see all that. And then also you can see that the Mother Lakshmi is actually pressing the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And it's so beautiful, so wonderful. So here we can see that. So now finally, in the last verse of this chapter, concluding in such a way that, Srila Prabhupada concluding in such a way that only by the mercy, even if we have to do anything in this world, we have to get the mercy of the Lord. We have to get the energy of, this is the last verse of the, let me take that, the last verse, 333, I believe, yes. Chapter 3, chapter 8, and then verse number 33. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, even if one in the material mode of passion to create something in the world has to take shelter of the Supreme for the necessary energy. That's the path of successful termination of any attempt. So dear devotees, it's so beautiful, this chapter, in such a way that this gives us that such an understanding of how one can approach the Lord. And then once in anything in this world that, even a small leaf, that in order to move, that has to happen by the energy, by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, nothing will happen. So it's very important that we understand this wonderful, darshan of the Lord, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is the universe. He is the maintainer of this universe. And then, how Brahma is manifested from the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And then now how Brahma is seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such a way that, we all can see that by following the footsteps of Brahma and the disciplic succession, as it is mentioned that sage Maitreya, sage Vidura, and all this. So this concluding this, Srila Prabhupada concluding this, for anything, for everything, that we should approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead in such a way that He is the creator, He is the maintainer. So He is the Sarva Karana Karanam, He is the cause of all the causes. He is wonderful, and there are so many wonderful ways. Many devotees glorified and display, glorified in such, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Um, you know, so let me stop here with this note. Thank you so much for listening. Hare Krishna. If there is anything wanted to discuss, please open up, or you can put it into the Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Otherwise, let's conclude here today's session. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare. Thank you, Simheswar Prabhu.
Okay. All goes to Srila Prabhupada.
Wish you all a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead and week ahead. Also, just wanted to share and seek blessings of all the Vaishnavas. We are here at Yellowstone National Park, where our puja yesterday accepted the proposal of Shyam.
Yeah.
So we seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas.
Hare Bol.
Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.
Wonderful to hear, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for revealing and sharing to us. That's
Congratulations, Prabhuji.
Congratulations. Very wonderful.
Congratulations, Prabhuji. Hare Bol.
We'll like to offer prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting 3 times. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare. Jai
Jai
Nrsimha,
Nrsimha,
Jai
Jai
Nrsimha,
Jai
Jai Jai
Nrsimha,
Nrsimha,
Jai
Nrsimha.
Nrsimha,
Prahladish, Jai
Prahladi Jai
Praleta
Padma,
Jaya Padma Mukha
Mukha
Padma
Padma
Brindaha.
Bandham,
Ugra Veera
Veeryam
Brahmira
Mahavishnu
Mahavishnu
Mahavishnu,
Jalantam
Jalantam
Sarvatomukham
Sarvatomukam,
Narsimham Vishnam Bhadram
Narsimha
Murtayam
Bhadram
Vishnu
Namami.
Bhadram Nityam
Amiham,
Nityam Nahamiham.
Narsimha
Nrsimha Bhagwan
Bhagwan
ki
Vani
ki
ki
Jai,
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 Prahlad Maharaj
Raji.
Prahlad
ki
Maharaj ki
Jai.
Jai, Shri Prabhupada.
Let us offer our humble obeisances at the lotus feet of all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vancha
Vancha
kalpatarubhyascha kripa
kalpatarubhyasya kripa
sindhubhya cha
sindhubhya
Evacha
patanam
patitanam
pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo
vaishnavebhyo
vaishnavebhyo
namo
namaha.
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Vaishnavindo
Vaishnavinda
ki
ki
Jai,
jai,
Niranjara Srimad
Grantha Srimad
Bhagavatam
Bhagavatam
ki
ki
Jai,
jai, Srila
Srila
Prabhupada
Prabhupada
Ki
ki
Jai.
jai, Gaur
Premanande.
Premanande
Hari.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Simheswar Prabhuji, for
Thank
wonderful. Hare
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.